You may have picked up on a couple of little bits and pieces today around the Zubimendi stuff. And of course, I was reading through some of your comments, and it seems like there's some confusion going on. So I guess I'll try and clear that up as best as I can. So one, Zubimendi did not sign a new contract with Sociedad, despite what a couple of people in the chat were saying. He hasn't signed that contract yet. So that's where this conversation led into. I was speaking with David Lynch earlier on today. We were going back over the United game, and just as we were finishing up the episode that we were recording together, I got a message from Connor to say that Fabrizio Romano was chatting a little bit about Zubimendi, and this is what Fabrizio had to say. He said the appreciation for Zubimendi is still there. Liverpool still believe he's the perfect player for the tactical idea that they have. So I didn't know if Fabrizio was, stretching here or not. So I asked David Lynch, what do you think, David, if Zubimendi happened to change his mind? Do you think Liverpool would revisit this situation? And he said that it certainly was left on good terms, so it's possible. Now, possible being the operative word there. So look, I've no idea whether we will go back in or not, but the longer he doesn't sign a contract extension at Sociedad, and remember, they've had a poor start to the campaign as well. They've also seen Mikel Merino depart and go to Arsenal. So I wonder, will he kind of feel, did I make the right decision? And as long as he doesn't sign that new deal, well, the buyout clause remains the same as well. So I'm not saying it will happen, I'm not saying it won't happen, but there genuinely seems to be, between David Ornstein, David Lynch, Fabrizio Romano, at least an acknowledgement that it's possible. Do you really think we're signing Zubi? I don't know, and this is why I put it to David Lynch. I mean, if you want to try and figure out the context yourself, watch the interview we did with David. At the end of it is the part where I bring up the Zubimendi situation. I was actually expecting the answer to be no. I said to him, well, Fabrizio has said this, do you think it's possible? Expecting him to go, no, I don't really think we'll revisit it. But I guess all options are on the table. And David Ornstein and others have kind of been teasing a little bit about the fact that, we did revisit Virgil, albeit in different circumstances. And of course, we got Virgil signed up in the winter window. I don't know. I'm not in Zubimendi's head. I don't know if Zubimendi's regretting his decision or if he feels comfortable with his decision. But what I do know is it certainly feels like it's possible. And while it's possible, until he signs that new deal, if he signs a new deal at Sociedad, I think we could probably knock it on the head. But that new deal hasn't been signed yet, so let's wait and see. What's the Zubi comments? Rubbish. Is this our owners again? No, Carl, this is 3 different journalists today speaking about it, mate. Because he hasn't signed a new contract at Sociedad yet. And I guess while he hasn't signed that, we have to wait and see what happens. I mean, the first I'd seen of it came from Romano, but then I'd seen something from David Ornstein, and then I just happened to be recording with David Lynch as this stuff came out, so I asked him about it. And everybody feels like it's possible. Now, nobody's gone out on a limb to say Liverpool are going to do it, because, of course, this would be driven by Zubimendi. He'd have to say, you know what, I made a mistake. And we don't have any concrete information that that's going to happen yet. But I thought it was very interesting for David Lynch to say, yeah, it was good terms there. The door's certainly not closed. Let's wait and see. Said, only just joined the stream. Is Liverpool going in for Zubimendi again, or is his head being turned to join us as we've had a better start to the season? So, I guess it's a factor of a couple of things. One, he hasn't signed a new deal with Real Sociedad yet. That hasn't happened. Don't know why. Maybe he's had a change of heart. Maybe they're not giving him the offer he wants. I don't know. But I didn't think much of it, the fact that he hadn't signed a new deal, until this stuff today kind of started trickling out. And as I said, I didn't really put much stock in it until I asked David Lynch about it. And I was expecting him to shoot it down, to say, no, I don't expect that to happen. But he was far more open to the idea of it. And as I mentioned, David Ornstein kind of intimated to the Virgil van Dijk situation where we didn't get it sorted in the summer, but we did revisit it and get it done quickly in the winter. So at this moment in time, I don't know that Zubimendi changed his mind. I just know that the option is still being spoken about as a possibility. Chris said, I think we may go back in for Zubimendi in January. That's kind of where we're going with tonight's stream, Chris, because I was recording with David Lynch earlier on. And just as at the end of our podcast, when we were finishing recording it, Connor sent me a post from which account was it? Anfield Sector, that was talking about Fabrizio Romano, and he mentioned, no, actually it wasn't Anfield Sector, was it? It was Anything Liverpool, sorry. Said, the appreciation for Zubimendi is still there, said Fabrizio Romano. Still believes he's the perfect player for the tactical idea that they have at the club. So that kind of got me to ask David Lynch, if Zubimendi backtracked, thinking about the fact that he hasn't signed a new deal yet, do you think there's any chance that Liverpool could revisit that? Fully expecting him to say no. But he said, certainly there's good terms there on both sides. I think it came out afterwards as well that Zubimendi had rang Richard Hughes to explain his decision. So it seems like there's certainly still a line of communication there. Now, what really made me think about this was they've obviously seen Mikel Merino move to Arsenal. So they've weakened themselves a little bit more there. He hasn't yet signed a new contract at Sociedad. So technically, right now, his release clause is still at the same number. So while those things are still a factor, and of course Sociedad haven't started off the season very well, I think 1 win from 3, 2 losses. You know, you'd wonder, does he think, have I made the right call here? Especially when he sees how well Liverpool have started under Arne Slot. Benjamin, how are you, my friend? Said, hello Craig, I said when Zubimendi broke down that a mate in Spain said the rumours that Real Sociedad were collapsing due to losing players. The rumours are now there's an agreement on a higher fee for January. See, here's the thing though, right? We don't have to pay the higher fee. Now, of course, if there's an agreement for a higher fee and the reason for that is so we can spread it out over the course of 4 or 5 years, that makes sense. But if we wanted him and he had changed, like, I think the key here is on him. If he changes his mind and wants to come, then I think you go about finding a way to make it happen. Which could be possible the way that you've said it there. Maybe they agree a slightly higher fee, but they pay it over the course of 4 or 5 years, which would probably suit the club better than having to pony up the whole release clause. Again, the only reason this came up today was kind of a little bit of a coincidence and just good timing as well. When I was happened to be speaking with David Lynch on this morning's podcast, it came out from Fabrizio Romano when we just talked about it, and apparently the door isn't fully closed as we sit here. Now, of course, if Zubimendi signs a new deal, this looks like a very different conversation. Said, irritating the Zubimendi news comes out days after the window shuts. I didn't get that up on screen, that 1 sec. Irritating that the Zubimendi news comes out days after the window shuts. I guess it also kind of coincides with the start of the season that they've had and the great start of the season that we've had is maybe fueling some of this conversation as well. You know, we're perfect, 3 wins from 3. They've had a really rocky start to the season where they've not played really well at all. Benjamin said, apparently he never said he didn't want to come. He stayed due to the fear of relegation by Real Sociedad due to their issues of losing players. He was made to feel guilty. But to be honest, I'm on the Ryan train. I mean, I didn't think they were in that much trouble, Sociedad. Like, I knew that they were probably mid-table, but are they really staring on the barrel of relegation? That would be a fall from grace, because are they not in like the Europa Leagues this season or the Conference League or something as well? Darren Parry said, I'd still be interested in Zubimendi. Definitely his class. It's a tough one for a homegrown player to leave his club, so I'd forgive him for that, definitely. Look, I'm a moany, petulant little arsehole a lot of the time, mate, and I had my moaning about Zubimendi over the summer, but honestly, if he wanted to come and the club are happy with it, I mean, of course, you'd say, welcome in. You mean you took too long, but welcome in, and you'd hope that he's a success. But let's wait and see what the next few months brings.